Hi, I'm Ronnie Garrett with Supply and Demand Chain Executive. I'm here with
Dana Magliola from NC State University Supply Chain Resource Cooperative.
Yesterday, I had the pleasure of seeing Dana's presentation on the supply chain's impact on the economy. He is here with us today to share his thoughts on that particular trend. What does the end-to-end supply chain do for the economy?
Sure. So when we undertook this analysis, we really wanted to capture what the supply chain, as we defined it, does to impact the economy in North Carolina. And we looked at a broader definition, so more than just transportation and logistics. We looked from raw materials through inventory, through manufacturing, on really all the way to consumer markets. And we found that there was a significant impact on the economy. If you look at just direct economic impact, we're talking about over $80 billion in GDP contribution. If you extend that to take into account things like indirect and induced effects on the economy, you're looking at $150 billion. So quite a significant impact.
Right, and those numbers are from North Carolina alone, correct?
Just North Carolina, yes.
But we would expect to see the same numbers across the United States.
We looked at defining the supply chain in North Carolina relative to really the landscape there. It may be a different definition, just a little bit different from state to state, but I'm sure that you'd find that the supply chain impact is significant.
Okay, thank you. How do you measure the impact of the supply chain on the economy? What considerations are there?
Sure. So initially we started, as I mentioned, by defining the supply chain and what we really wanted to capture. We then took reliable data sources through a contribution analysis, an input-output model, and combine that with readily available public sources such as Bureau of Labor Statistics or Department of Commerce. We did a compiled analysis of that and then really tried to bring some context to what those numbers meant.
Okay. What trends did you observe when you did this in North Carolina?
Yeah, that was unique. We found about 8 key trends, and just some of the highlights of that were that, of course, the growth in the economy has been a benefit for different sectors like building materials, metal products, industrial machinery. And you see as the economy grows, these sectors are making a rebound. We also found that the strong dollar is a consideration, driving price pressure domestically, but also allowing us with stronger purchasing power abroad. One of the things that was really interesting was to see that legacy industries like tobacco and furniture and textiles in North Carolina that we may have just thought had kind of gone away are still very relevant. And in fact, the North Carolina brand abroad for products like furniture has become truly a draw for consumers in the international market.
Okay. In your study, did you identify any weaknesses in the supply chain or things that you could do better
Sure.
in North Carolina?
Yeah, I think one of the interesting things we found was the disparity in wages across the supply chain. So the average income, the average labor income of supply chain workers in North Carolina is actually higher than the state's manufacturing average and higher than the state's average wage. But there's a significant disparity between some of the sectors like communications and computer manufacturing and textiles on both ends of that spectrum, with literally a $100,000 difference in annual wage. So where we saw a significant benefit to having a higher than average wage, there are sectors, in fact about 58% of supply chain workers in North Carolina are below that average wage. So that's something that we thought needs to be addressed eventually and is a consideration for industry.
Right. Did you identify any reasons for that disparity?
We didn't. We didn't look for particular reasons there, but one of the things that we could get back to a trend that I think may be changing that disparity is the demand for highly skilled workers. And as we saw an increase in demand for highly skilled workers, I think you'll see the wages catch up with that as well in a competitive market.
Would you make any suggestions to anyone else who's interested in doing an analysis like this in their state or in their county or in their region, as you mentioned yesterday? Yeah,
one of the unique things about our report was that we set out to do this report in a way that could be reproducible. We used readily accessible and consistent data, publicly available data, and we built the report in a formulaic way that compared statistics and information across each sector and that can be reproduced depending on your region, whether it's state or local. And we really think that the reproducibility of this report gives a vehicle that helps people articulate the importance of the supply chain. It's very challenging when you talk to people in they don't really have a solid definition of supply chain. Even at this conference, people's definition runs the full spectrum. So we defined it. We think that that's something you can do in another area, in another region, and then follow our process to create a report that gives a similar platform to advocate and inform about the supply chain.
All right. Thank you
Great.
very much
Yeah,
for
you
your
bet.
time today. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Nice talking.